I'm Rosie from Rosie Sews. If you haven't already, I would love if you could subscribe to my channel. Next time I upload a video, you will get notified so you can see all of my top sewing tips. Now today, I'm going to teach you how to shear fabric, and in true art attack style, here's one I made earlier. So this shearing effect is a lovely sort of scrunch effect that really gives you that sort of elasticated option in fabric. So normally a really stiff fabric like cotton, it enables you to have that lovely stretchy sort of finish. Shearing is perfect for spring, and you will have seen it on lovely summer dresses, spring summer dresses, on the cuffs of sleeves, or used on bodices. So this is what we're going to go through today. Now shearing can be quite difficult, and there are lots of sort of top tips that I've learned over the years, as well as issue busting methods. So I'm going to share these with you today. So to create shearing, what you need is shearing elastic. Now you can pick this up from any sort of hobby store, craft store. In the UK, I got this from Hobbycraft, and it cost me about, I think it was either £2.50 or £3 per packet. But also, I found on eBay an absolute bargain, and I also purchased one of these for £7. But actually, sorry, I bought 3 of these for just £7. So actually, if you're thinking about doing a lot of shearing, I would recommend buying in bulk. For one sort of project, so say one sheared dress, which is like if you were to do a bandeau in shearing, you'd probably need about 3 of these little spools. So do stock up on shearing elastic because it goes down very, very quickly. The next thing you need is a bobbin. Where are my bobbins? Oh, it's already on my machine. So the next thing you need is a bobbin. So your very simple, normal bobbin that you would use in your sewing machine. What you need to do with this is grab your shearing elastic and basically thread it, hand thread it through your bobbin like you normally would, and then you have to wind it yourself basically. So I don't have one that I made earlier, so I'm going to show you how I do this now. So you pop the string through the hole, like so, and then I generally wrap that around my finger, and then it's quite hard to do with fake nails on, but I then just wind it round the bobbin. You want to pull ever so slightly so you've got a little bit of tension, but not too much tension, because if you pull it too tightly, it will just all unravel. So keep doing that, I'm going to keep winding away. Once you've sort of got a few layers on, I end up just chopping this extra end bit off, just, you know, that I pulled through earlier, because sometimes it can get tangled in the thread. So I'm just going to do that quickly now. Should have had all of my stuff ready to go. Here we go, my little snippers. Chopped off. Okay, so let's keep going. You're going to have to wind this so it's full. It's quite a laborious process, but it is worth it. Also, if you're maybe watching TV, it's quite handy to have a few of these reels already wound up when you're doing a project, because it can get a little bit annoying having to stop and rewind it. So if you are chilling out watching TV the night before you're going to do a sewing project, I would fully recommend that you pre-wind a few bobbins ready to go. Okay, we're almost done with this now. You can see it's starting to fill up. You don't want to overfill them either, because it just creates issues in your sewing machine. So I would recommend just doing it so it's sort of nice and full, but not overflowing. But yes, you can actually buy pre-wound bobbins as well if you wanted to. I think they're quite pricey, but you can purchase them online if you don't want to sit and do the winding yourself, which I completely understand can be quite off-putting for some people. Okay, so my bobbin is now pretty much full. So I've not overfilled it, it's got a nice little bit of room to breathe in there, and I'm going to pop this into my machine as I would normally do with a bobbin. If you do notice any extra snags, just pull them off, because you want it to be as nice and smooth as possible. I'm using my PFAFF Creative 1.5 sewing machine, but you can use any machine to shear, as long as you can adjust the tension and the stitch length. The PFAFF Creative Sewing Machine is very similar to the PFAFF Ambition, so if you have either one of those machines, you can follow my instructions absolutely to the T and you'll be able to shear on your machine. Each machine does differ very slightly, sort of if you were to have a Brother machine or a Janoni machine or a Benina, it will differ, so you just have to find the right tension on your machine and have a little bit of a play around. So I've got my bobbin now and I'm going to pop it into the machine. Thread it up like I would with a normal bobbin and thread. So every machine is very slightly different, but mine needs to be pulled all the way around here, and then the elastic gets cut off there. And then I put my little bit of plastic back on top. It's in. So with the PFAFF Creative Sewing Machine, you have this digital screen, which is really great if you are a visual person like myself. So to set up the tension, you want to be sewing on a straight stitch. So you can choose your stitches from this list of stitches up here. Now automatically it does go for a straight stitch, but I'm just going to reset that to just one. So my machine now will be sewing at a one straight stitch. But to shear, what you need to do is you need to adjust the length. So adjust the length to 4. And you're going to want to adjust the tension as well. So that makes the stitch length longer. What we're also going to do is adjust the tension, and we're going to move that up to a 7. This machine has so many settings on it, it's absolutely amazing. So now we've got our machine set up, we've lengthened the stitch length and we've increased the tension. Now we've got our machine all set up. We've increased the stitch length to 4 and we've increased the tension to 7. So now I've got my test piece of fabric. Now this is just an old bed sheet which I'm currently making into a dress. So what we're going to do on here is we're going to sew straight lines down the fabric, down the width of the fabric, and we're going to sew them 1 centimetre apart. Now, you can measure this out. I've seen lots of people doing this on YouTube where they measure out sort of 1 centimetre and then they write down how many lines they want to do. I don't do that because I just like to do things quickly, and also I don't think you need to. So my presser foot is approximately 1 centimetre in width. So I just make sure that every new line that I start at the end of my presser foot, and I'm going to show you how I do that now. So I've got my fabric here, and often what you're going to want to do is hem the edge. So for example, if this is going to be a top, you're going to want to make sure that you've hemmed the edge of the top, because going back and doing that retrospectively will be an absolute nightmare. So hem your tops. So I'm going to make sure that my machine is threaded properly. So what I'm going to do that, I'm going to press this button, which I think just brings the needle up and down once and twice. So that's just going to sort of help to thread that needle and make sure it's all caught at the bottom. And then we get started. So place your fabric into the machine, push your presser foot down, which is just here, and start sewing a straight line. So let's go. And you'll start to see at the back of the machine that it is starting to ruche up at the back. Every time you've finished a line, I'm going to backstitch just for 1 stitch and then chop that off. Now, what I do at the end of every line is I always rethread the machine. The reason I do this is because shearing can be so fiddly, and the worst thing is to have broken thread in the back. So I will simply pull out my bobbin and thread it again. Just helps to make sure that you're having as little problems as possible throughout the shearing process. Another thing I thought I'd mention is the speed. So on the PFAFF Creative, you can adjust the speed just using this knob. Now you can have like super speed by going up, or like slow going down. I like to have mine just in the middle, especially, oh God. I need to learn how to use this camera, especially for shearing. If you go in super speed, I tested it out last night, it just sort of ruins it. It misses stitches and the back of your shearing ends up looking really messy. So don't be tempted to go super speed. Go a nice sort of normal mid to low speed when you're shearing, and it really helps to keep things nice and tidy. Now let's go again with a few more stitches. Another thing to learn is when you're shearing, the elastic starts to scrunch. As you know, that's what the whole point is. So when sewing, what I do is I make sure I pull from the back and the front to give that fabric some tension back into it. And that really then helps to make sure that you don't have any unnecessary pleats that you weren't expecting, or any like jumps in fabric. So you'll see what I mean in a moment. So if I just keep sewing, keep that little bit of tension going, and it just helps to make it so much smoother. And then stop, pull it out, and rethread my bobbin. Now, it sounds like a really long process, but actually you can really get the hang of it, and it really doesn't take that long. I would say that sewing something like this probably takes me maybe about a few hours of sewing these. Okay, maybe it is a little bit longer than I made out. But I think for starters, just start testing on fabric, because it really is a little skill to get hold of, and it's quite difficult to start with. To figure out the tension, etc. on your machine, but once you've got it sorted, it really is such a worthwhile pursuit. So now I've done a few lines of this lovely sheared little effect, and you can really see what a difference it makes. I mean, how cute would this be on like baby's clothes or clothes for children? It's such a lovely soft feature. So that's it really when it comes to shearing. They're the sort of main things you need to know. So I would say, keep your stitches, so keep your lines 1 centimetre apart. After every row, unclip the bobbin and put it back in again. It seems like a pain, but I promise it will save you so much time and any sort of inconvenient snags in the machine. 2, buy a big roll of shearing elastic, because the little boxes, where are they? I can't find it, but the little boxes don't last very long. I need about 3 of those small boxes to do a bodice. Whenever I'm sewing, so for example, this one that I made earlier, so this is going to wrap all the way around me, so it's going to be a dress, as you can see. So to get this length of fabric, what I had to do is I had to measure around my chest, and I had to do that twice, so I had to double that up, because basically the fabric shrinks by half of its original size. So that's another thing to consider when shearing, that you have to have a good volume of fabric to start with, so you can actually wrap it around your body without it being too tight and losing that lovely like smocked effect. If your machine bodges up, unstitch it all, take the top out, take the bottom out, re-stitch it all again, what do you call it? Rethread it all again from the top, and it will sort of fix those problems for you. Make sure you leave a little bit at each side of the bodice, because the first few stitches of the shearing probably won't get picked up, so make sure that you leave a few centimetres on each side to make sure that you've got that extra room and you're not going to have any saggy bits that aren't going to be picked up. Always backstitch at the beginning and end of your piece. I know on that little template I only backstitched at the end, but it's helpful to backstitch at the beginning as well, just to keep that thread in place. And finally, enjoy shearing. Like, it's summer, it's spring, it's shearing season, so enjoy yourself, experiment and take your time. When I was learning how to do this the other night, it took me hours to do, so I'm really pleased with it, and that's why I thought I'd do a little video. So 1, I can teach you guys how to do it using this machine, and secondly, so I can remind myself the next time I need to get down to shearing and it's already gone out of my head. So this is helpful for both you and me. So if you've liked this video, please like it and put a comment below and tell me what more you would like to see. And I will see you soon, and if you don't already, follow me on Instagram at rosie_sews. I post on there pretty much every day, if not at least once a week. So see you soon and have a lovely day.